Good evening. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. Police bust another fake vaccine cert syndicate, this time in Selangor. And can Malaysia reduce its reliance on foreign workers? We take a closer look. Police believe that 5,600 people in Selangor have bought fake COVID-19 vaccine certificates. Police raided a private clinic in Gombak, where 7 people were arrested following an investigation into a WhatsApp message offering fake vaccine certs.
A search and confiscated laptops found 5,601 patients had been registered as vaccination recipients in the My Sejahtera system. Police are now investigating how many did not receive their jabs.
Yang mana mereka yang tidak mahu vaksin, so tanpa vaksin, so walaupun klinik ini telah menerima vaksin tersebut daripada KKM, dia terima, so mereka yang tidak mahu vaksin, tidak divaksinkan, tidak disuntik vaksin, tetapi dikeluarkan sijil. So vaksin tu dipatahkan, dia punya botol dipatahkan dan dibuang, dituang keluar. Begitu saja. Dan botol ataupun dipanggil vial tu dipulangkan kepada KKM sebagai tanda ianya telah pun disuntik.
Arjunaidi said the clinic, which was operating for the past few months, was selling the fake vaccine certificates for 500 ringgit each. Last week, police arrested a doctor in Terengganu and seized 1,900 COVID-19 vaccine certificates believed to be fake.
Malaysia will know when it transitions to the endemic phase of COVID-19 next week. Senior Defence Minister Datuk Seri Hishamuddin Hussein said an actual date will be decided during the COVID-19 Quartet Ministerial meeting.
Kita tangguh kerana saya nak menerima laporan kesan daripada banjir, kesan daripada varian Omicron dan juga kesan daripada pengembara-penggara yang kembali ke tanah air, khususnya mereka yang baru kembali daripada Saudi Arabia.
Hishamuddin said that the postponement of the transition may take 2 to 3 weeks from the original date, which was earlier set for the first week of January. Malaysia is estimated to have suffered up to 6.5 billion ringgit losses due to the recent flooding disaster that hit the country. Up to 1.4 billion ringgit involved damages to homes and residences alone, and another 1 billion ringgit worth of damages to vehicles. Damages to business premises, meanwhile, amounted to 600 million ringgit. The finding was from studies conducted by the Department of Statistics on the impact of floods on the affected states. As for industries, public assets and infrastructure, they suffered 2 billion ringgit in losses. Manufacturing up to 1 billion ringgit and nearly 50 million ringgit worth of damages to the agricultural sector. The severe floods that swept the country last month claimed 54 lives, while over 52,000 households were affected. Malaysia is in the final stages of negotiations with Indonesia for the recruitment of domestic helpers. The countries are expected to sign a MOU next month. We speak to the president of the Association of Employment Agencies, Datuk Fu Yong Hoi, on what should be the focus in the MOU.
Malaysia sides have proposed that the salary shall be minimum. The salary shall be started from 1,002 instead of 1,005 as proposed by Indonesia, and then as to the 1 meal 1 task. So basically, we have I believe that they have agreed on certain criteria. So one of the criteria is that one maid shall work for a family of not having more than 6 members. So I think the issue can be settled. And of course, Indonesia have raised the issue of system made online. That means to say that the maid can come in as a tourist, and after that they'll be regularized as a domestic worker in Malaysia. So they will request Malaysia government to abolish this system. So I don't know whether the government will do it or not. I'm not sure. So because it's involved with the jurisdictions of Ministry of Home Affairs. But of course, personally, I hope that the SMO will be removed, because we feel that these systems is quite detrimental to our APS, Agency Pekerjaan Swasta, because it have caused competitions in Indonesia. Because for those who come in as tourists, they do not need to go through the trainings, the proper process in Indonesia. So a lot of illegal agents in Indonesia, I use the word illegal agents because these people are not licensed by Indonesia government. So these people bring these so-called potential domestic worker as a tourist to come into Malaysia. Even as this pandemic period, they are managed to come in and through the My Travel Pass, you see.
System Made Online, or SMO, was introduced in 2018 to allow hiring foreign domestic helpers directly from 9 selected countries without going through agents. The government has said it will prioritize local workers to fill the vacancies in various employment sectors in the country before bringing in foreign workers to do the job. However, are locals interested in those jobs, and can Malaysia reduce its reliance on foreign workers?
The reason is that they feel that if they leave their kampong and come down to the Klang Valley or to Johor Bahru, even though they get extra few hundred ringgit more than kampong, but they feel that the cost of living is high. It's true also. Yeah, so you just imagine one noodle in Kedah maybe 3 ringgit, 4 ringgit, see? In KL may cost you 8 ringgit, see? Double the price. So this is what made them reluctant to come down. So, but you look at the other figure is that we have around 700,000 people being unemployed. But our illegal, how many illegal do we have now? I believe that easily we get 2 million. Easily we can get 2 million. But for these 2 million, if you offset the 700,000, you are still in shortage of 1.3 million. True or not? So it means to say that we, for the time being, for the next few years, we are totally dependent on the migrant worker. We have no choice.
Malaysian companies see automation as a way to ease their heavy reliance on foreign workers. However, not many are able to do so quickly.
We talk about the automations. We talk about transformations. Yes, they can do it. They can go for it. But if you look at our size of the SMB, our SMB consists of 95% of our total factories in Malaysia. So these SMEs, they are some of them, they are a very small business. They just have 10 workers, 20 workers, 30 workers, and they can't afford to go for automations unless the government has come up with a plan, come up with a grant, or come up with come up with loans with very low interest. Then perhaps they can go for automations. Because we deal with these migrant workers, and then we deal with the application. We look at their profit. Their profits are not so convincing, you see. So it's not easy for them to go for automation. And then some of them, they are still as a courtyard industry. And then you want to move, now the very first place that you have to move them to a proper industrial area. And then don't talk about the automations. So, and it's not their fault, is it? Because when we started our industrializations from 70s, 80s, 90s, so we started it as a labor-intensive kind of business, is it? So now you can't get rid of it overnight.
We will go for a quick break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Indonesia's new planned capital to be located in East Kalimantan has been named as Nusantara. National Development Planning Minister Suharto Monoarfa made the announcement of the new name today, which has been confirmed by President Jokowi. Jokovic in 2019 announced that the country's capital would move from mega city Jakarta to the East Kalimantan province. The move is deemed necessary to save the sinking and congested Jakarta and develop Kalimantan as well as the eastern part of Indonesia, since most of the economic activity has been centered in Java, where the current capital is. The construction of the $32 billion new capital project was supposed to start in 2020, but was put on hold due to the pandemic. Indonesia plans to relocate its capital in the first half of 2024. The birth rate in mainland China has dropped for a fifth straight year to hit a new record low, despite government efforts to encourage couples to have more children after decades of doing the opposite. The world's most populous country recorded only 7.5 births per 1,000 people in 2021, the lowest level since the founding of Communist China in 1949. Experts warn that if the downward trend continues, China's population could start shrinking soon. To arrest the falling birth rate, the government scrapped its decades-old one-child policy in 2016 to allow married couples to have 2 children. Last year, Beijing further loosened the policy to allow 3 children. But many couples do not want to have more children because of the high cost of urban living. Last year, more than 20 provincial and regional governments amended their family planning laws, including extending maternity leave for women. China's working-age population is already declining, which will add pressure on the country's ability to pay and care for an increasingly aging population. Taxing the world's richest could help save lives. Organization fighting poverty, Oxfam, says that a one-off windfall tax on the pandemic gains of just world's 10 richest men alone would raise enough money to pay for the vaccines for the world and more. In its latest report, it noted that the wealth of the world's 10 richest people doubled from $700 billion to $1.5 trillion during the pandemic. At the same time, the vast majority of the population are worse off. Around 160 million people fell into poverty. If these 10 men were to lose 99% of their wealth tomorrow, Oxfam said they would still be richer than 99% of all the people on this planet. Oxfam also called for rich countries to waive intellectual property rules on COVID-19 vaccines in order to expand production. Tennis star Novak Djokovic could return to Australia sooner than anticipated following his deportation. Under Australia's immigration laws, Djokovic cannot be granted another visa for 3 years. But Prime Minister Scott Morrison said he could be allowed entry sooner under the right circumstances.
The world #1 men's player was deported on Sunday after losing a visa battle that centered on the fact that he is unvaccinated. Australian law does provide for compelling or compassionate reasons for the 3-year visa ban to be waived. This should potentially allow Djokovic to take part in the Australian Open tournament next year. This year's tournament began in Melbourne on Monday.
Even as the country struggles with the impact of the pandemic, where should we place sports in government funding priorities? Tonight on Consider This, we ask our guests about what ails sports policy. And that is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get the latest news updates on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and Astro AWANI app. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching.